kind of did.
That was another thing we did wrong.
What you mean?
So we went to sessions, but we needed like more. We needed to play and then more more consistently.
Yeah, y'all hopefully all this one came out.
Right, but
are you optimistic? Are y'all optimistic? Well, I'm gonna ask y'all individually. Rashid, are you optimistic? Because of course we're dealing with a lot of your issues and haven't even unpacked whatever you may have, problems you may have with Symone. Because you just said the fact that there's some stuff that whatever, and we just beating you up right now.
Neither one of us is I deserve it. It's on me. I get it.
No, it's not a deserving thing. It's just a matter of
I'm saying the catalyst of this is you. Of my actions.
But when you look at it, do you have hope of reconciliation with this woman?
Hey guys, welcome to Little Blackbird 91. Listen, we're going to be breaking down this particular interview. Not all the way. I got specific points I want to break down. We'll do a full breakdown next week, Monday starting, because I won't be here this weekend. But I thought I wanted to get in early, get this breakdown in, yeah? And I've chosen a few parts of this interview. I listened to it once. I wish I got to listen to it a second time, really in depth. But I want to be able to play some parts for you guys as well. All right, cool. So Symone and Rashid just literally were just on Dear Future Wifey. They had an interview with DFW, and they broke down a little bit as to why they're not together anymore. Now, clearly, it's seemingly a recent interview because this also did happen to mention a lot of stuff. They even mentioned some of the interviews that she had done as well. So it's definitely been done after I did an interview with Symone because they mentioned about different videos. Okay, so this is absolutely a new video. This is not old, guys. This is brand new. It's a brand new interview that was done by them. I'm not sure how long ago, but it's brand new. Okay, so here's my overall thought, real quick, to talk this off. Okay, the part of the clip that I want to play to you guys. Therein lies the problem with Symone and Rashid. They are both problematic. Now, they are of different weights, absolutely, but they are both problematic. And the reason we're here right now, that we are seeing this relationship foster the way it is now, is because they're both problematic and they both have issues. Right? And so them both having issues is important for us to understand how they've got to this point. When you don't even take the pre-counseling serious, when you don't do the pre-counseling part of your relationship, can I just say this? Listen, look, I know not every pre-counseling is even great. Let's be honest. Not everybody's pre-counseling pastors or anything like that are really good at it. But please don't skip the pre-counseling. Even if you get a counselor involved, a relationship counselor, or someone else involved who's an expert in that field, it's important. And the reason being is because then you can't ignore some of the glaring issues we have that are in this relationship. Okay, all right. Then we have the glaring issues that are in this relationship. $17,000 on a wedding is not the issue. All right, $17,000 is not the issue. If you can spend $120,000 on a Porsche, $17,000 on your wedding is not the issue. It's not even expensive. I'll be honest with you, right? So I want to get rid of that. That is not the issue. $17,000 on a wedding for these two, who, when you're spending $120K on a car, you can't tell me is an issue. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah, that is not even an issue. So that $17,000, I wasn't even listening to. I said, tell you that's nothing. What the issue is? The issue is, why couldn't that $17,000 be met? That's the actual real conversation. But again, I want to make it clear again. The issue that I'm seeing is that there were things that were being ignored on both sides. Symone is an absolute habitual build him up, bear boo person. I'm just going to be real with you. Okay. All right. She is a Build-A-Bear-Boo constructor. Love Symone, and she knows I love her, but you're a Build-A-Bear constructor. Love Rashid too. I hope that, maybe he'll come on the channel, we can have a chop it up. If he doesn't, I also understand. I've been quite harsh, and it is what it is. But Rashid too is a habitual business gambler. He takes these extreme risks with the hope of a huge payload at the very end. The problem being is that it's not sustainable. Okay, so the reason why this is an issue, and this is I want to say this too, I don't glorify these relationships through a Christian lens. I cannot. I want to make it very clear so we understand. I cannot glorify this relationship through a Christian lens. I cannot slap Jesus on it and be like, you know what? If y'all pray enough, y'all spend some time with Jesus enough, this gonna work. Okay, yeah, I cannot slap the Jesus sticker on it and be like, it can work. I cannot do that. I think and let me just say this, and again, this is my personal opinion. When I say these things, this is my personal opinion of me saying I can't slap that sticker on, because when I look at the relationship, the issue isn't your spirituality. Your issue is not you following Jesus in your relationship. You have core issues that need to be healed. That yes, the Holy Spirit can help, but He's gonna guide you towards people on this earth who have the correct skills to able to enable you to heal, and that's both people. That is both people. That's not just Rashid. That is also Symone, right? That's both of them. Okay. So Symone is not innocent in this, by the way. Symone is not. I want to make it very, very clear. Y'all know how I feel about this. Symone is not innocent. And so I'm not trying to make her equal weight to Rashid. Rashid is the bigger issue here because of the fact that his financial impropriety and his lack of ability to manage funds, and then miscommunicating some of that to Symone, is why we're here in the first place, right? But we're also here in the relationship, and the reason why the relationship has lasted so long, and the reason why the relationship has gone on so long, is because Symone is a habitual Build-A-Bear-Boo, and I'm saying that in a sense, she likes to fix things, and that's the issue too, because that's also, and if you don't know, people who do Build-A-Bear-Boo, they are also manipulative, because they're trying to build for themselves. They're not building that person up. Now, I'm not saying that someone doesn't want to build him up. What I'm saying is the need to build is also an aspect of control. Okay, the need to want to build somebody up is also about the need to control. She herself has admitted on our channel that she's codependent in some aspects. At least that's what her therapist said. Now, if you know anything about codependent people, they are also manipulators. Now, it doesn't mean that she's a manipulator in a sort of craziest way, but what it means is, in some essence, your behaviors, okay, are with dual motive. Okay, right? Okay, so that's what we're saying. Okay, so we're gonna break it down some serious things, and I want to say this, my final point before I start getting into this video. On this, you've watched my reviews. I have held Rashid to the fire. Oh, I've held him to the fire. I have held Rashid to the fire. But today, after watching that interview, I've got one bombastic side eye on Symone. And the reason why I've got one bombastic side eye on Symone is because when I watched it, there were several things I was seeing that was becoming issue for me. Number one, Symone, you're talking too much. Talking way too much in this interview. Let the brother speak. Number two, you are talking on his behalf. Stop doing it. Let him speak. Number three, you cut across him. Let him speak. Okay? All right? So I was like, baby, you do it. Number four, I don't know what this allegedly talk about. Maybe it's her business, so that, let her live too much, right? But number four, in this aspect also, like I said, is she enjoyed and reveled at being a fixer. And that is where we're going to start from. So I'm going to get some of these clips, and then we'll get into the show. But before we do, we have almost 300 people, and I'm sure it's going to rise as we stay on this live. I'm going to be on here for about an hour and a bit. But, you know, I want to say this as well. Listen, you know, this is not a slandering against a relationship. Anybody who's coming who's not familiar with my content, I want to let you know, before you jump into the comment section and the chat, I am for Symone and Rashid, but I'm not for foolishness when it comes to relationships. Okay, all right, I'm not for it. Okay, so that's what I want to say. Okay, I'm for Symone and Rashid, but I'm not for foolishness. Okay, I cannot ignore some of the stuff that we see in relationships. Okay, all right, so let me let me try and start. Okay. No, being for them does not mean I want them to be in a relationship. No. I said I'm for them. I'm not for foolishness. Okay, all right. So let's get into that. Okay, all right. Let me go to the beginning a bit early where this kind of started, and kind of like bring in the conversation to there. Okay, yeah.
People at home that sometimes look to social media for their life or their guidance, I'm making them feel bad at their expense when I don't got it going on like I appear. So why not tell them the real truth? Since I'm going to show off, I'm going to show you my warts and expose myself. And then there's no turning back from that.
So when you decide to share with Symone your state of your finances, and she was very privy to what you had going on, but not to the degree of this violation that occurred. I watched Symone do a video where she talked about how she knew about your finance, she knew the state of your income, and said, let me go ahead and rally behind my man. Let us go dispute some past debt that he had. Even helped to have about, what you say, Symone, about $10,000 worth of debt forgiven.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I won that trial.
Yes,
and then she said, I won that trial.
She did.
I won all of it.
The power of dating, an attorney.
Right.
And so she
Okay, just notice that first part. Did you hear what she said? Okay, so listen, look, I may be reading too much into it, but my first thing I want to say is this, right? Did you notice how excited Symone is to talk about the achievements of winning that trial? And she does it a few times in this particular interview, where she excitedly talks about what she did and contributed to this relationship from a role perspective. What I mean by that is, if you notice later on in the actual interview, when you watch it, you'll notice her mention her roles that she undertook on this particular relationship. Okay, so you hear her say, I was a repo person, I was doing the books, I did a travel agent, I became this. Notice how many roles she ends up talking about that she ends up doing. Symone is always talking about the roles. Okay, all right. This is a sign of somebody who likes to fix. And so they are telling you about the achievements of what they've managed to do to build you up. Now, I'm not even saying that in an egotistical way. What I'm saying is that person has to keep reminding people of what they've done because they're reminding you of their value. Okay? Symone is reminding us and Rashid and dear future wifey and the world of her value. And her value is in what she does in this relationship as a role. Now, what am I saying in this instance? She's not really trying to talk to us because she has nothing to prove to me, to dear future wifey, to you, the audience, nothing at all. And better yet, she doesn't even have anything necessary to prove to Rashid, but she has to prove it to herself. Because what she's actually fighting is not me and you, nor is it Rashid. She's actually fighting the past image and past representation, her self-worth, her self-esteem about who she is. Okay? And so in doing so, when she keeps mentioning, I did X, Y, and Z, she's also letting you know her value and her worth. Right? That's the undercurrent that I feel is going on underneath the surface of all the things that she put on top. Okay. All right. So that's for me, because she's given us the information of being a codependent. When I'm looking at that behavior and I'm looking at going, okay, well, that person is being edified and valued and validated in their role of being able to be the help. Now, I'm not saying that anybody shouldn't be happy about helping people. I'm not saying anybody shouldn't be happy about serving people, right? I'm not saying it shouldn't be. I just noticed that she mentioned several times throughout the interview the role that she kept on playing. And i.e., she mentions actually her winning that battle and trial. And if you notice at the very end what she said, I want it for him. She even has to add that at the end. I don't need to add that at the end. If I said I did it for you, I did it for you. I don't need to add the extra touch at the end. Just listen again one more time. You'll hear it. You'll hear what she said. Just listen again.
Have about what you say, Symone, about $10,000 worth of debt forgiven.
Oh yeah.
Hold up. I think I pressed the button. Sorry, guys. Hold on. I pressed the wrong thing there. Apologies. I went onto Creative Opportunities board. There you go. Let's go back, please. It's a true story. No ghetto story. I remember the days. Let's go back to where we were. Apologies about that. I clicked the button there. All right, cool. Here we go.
That's what I'm believing God for. Thank y'all.
Okay.
That occurred.
Okay.
I watched Symone do a video where she talked about how she knew about your finance, she knew the state of your income, and said, "Let me go ahead and rally behind my man. Let us go dispute some past debt that he had. Even helped to have about what you say, Symone, about $10,000 worth of debt forgiven."
Oh yeah. Yeah, I won that trial.
Yes,
and then I won that trial.
She did.
I won all of it. Yeah.
The power of dating, an attorney.
Right.
Did you hear?
And so she rallied behind you. She did all that. What caused the disconnect? And I'm gonna put a link to the video that you put that you did on Ages and Stress.
One more time. Listen again.
That he had even helped to have about what you say, Symone, about $10,000 worth of debt forgiven.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I won that trial.
Yes,
and then I won that trial.
She did.
I won all of it. Yeah.
The power of dating, an attorney.
Right.
And so she rallied behind you.
She added that just towards the end there. She added up in there as well. I won all my trials, not a problem. I hear it. She's good at what she does. I'm not mad at it. And then she said, for him. But it wasn't for him. Thank you. It wasn't for him. Absolutely, Jay. It wasn't for him. It was for her. Because she served, because again, when we talk about, remember I told you guys about Build-A-Bear Boo, that Build-A-Bear is actually invested in themselves. It's egotistical. It is of self. You are trying to build your perfect being. And so when you do that, it's actually not about the other person's well-being. Of course, you have that in mind, but the dualistic agenda that's playing is that it's about validating you. And some element of control in that. So when you're saying, obviously, oh yeah, I want it elsewhere for him. Baby, you didn't. Okay, you didn't. You did it for you, right? And why? So that he would be indebted of what she has done and then supply her needs as well. Okay, that's what happens. Okay, that's what happens when we're in that space. Okay, a lot of people are in this space, right? A lot of women are in this space too, where they supply the good in the hopes that when I supply the good, it is so that I can then get a return, hopefully from you. Some of you are doing this with your fathers. Some of you are doing this with your friends. Some of you are doing this with your siblings. You're doing it with your mother, right? You're doing it with your partner, your husband, your boyfriend. You are supplying needs of that individual person in the hopes that your needs will be met after. But also in this aspect, it's also the value and the worth being attached to it. Right? So I believe that's the undercurrent of what I'm hearing when it comes to Symone dealing with Rashid. And that becomes very painful, because when you start realizing that all your effort and your investment has been put into this person and the investment is not returned, the pain is deep. The pain is really deep when you realize you've invested in this person considerably and then they don't bring an ROI on your investment. It's like then you've wasted time, you've wasted money, I've wasted energy, and you're not returning on investment. Now, I'm not saying that Rashid doesn't bring a return on investment. Oh, he does. But what I'm saying is what return on investment that she actually was looking for has not been returned. And that becomes very painful and very hurtful. Okay? Right? So this is not, by the way, this you can take this in two ways. You can take this as in you are generally a good person, okay? And you do think you're serving your partner genuinely out of love. And of course, you don't want to return, but if you don't get a return, and it goes wrong, it's still going to hurt. That's just real, right? Then the other aspect is where there's a darker side to it, where you really are doing it with a return in mind. Okay. Right. So that was also another thing that was happening. I was noticing. I think it's a little bit late. I want to try and get to. Hopefully I got the right part. Let me see if I got the right part.
Was that what you're referring to about the financial infidelity?
Not necessarily. Because we talked about that. We talked about that more so when we actually got married. And that would be kind of a yes.
You talking about? You said if y'all were to get married, then
once we got married, we talked about, okay, because now we're going to be combining funds. We're going to have a joint account, right?
And then
you have two personal ones, right? And then we said, okay, let's make this pact. If you spend X amount of dollars, I think it was $1,000, and over that, then we have to tell each other. We have to know each other that. So I was like, agreed to. But that was more so as moving toward our nuptials, as getting married, and we start to set for the wed team.
So what was the financial infidelity?
So it was.
Hold on. There's another rule that was very significant here.
Go ahead.
That is important. We had another rule because I was putting in all this effort to help dig him out, and I saw him. He was in credit repair and stuff like that. But he always had some new thing he wanted to do, a new project he wanted to explore. And I said, you're not taking out any debt that you can't qualify on your own. If they're not going to give it to you, it's because we can't afford it. And I said, either that you can't get on your own or that I can't co-sign for you. Because if it was something that I supported, I would co-sign for you. And he did not do that behind my back.
So I didn't get it behind her back. See, this is where our disconnect is.
This is how I feel.
Okay, so what happened then? Let's unpack that. You said,
okay, before we go further, so already, as you can see, thank you, Anisha kind of said it too, right? There is some parenting going on because she's having to parent him in this instance. And I'm not even trying to be, again, it's not about being disrespectful to Rashid. It's more about the dynamic of the relationship that is taking place. See, when we can analyze the dynamic relationship, we can begin to understand why we are at the place that we're at. So let me just put this here as well. Okay. And I don't mean any disrespect, and my keyboard moves mad, so don't worry about the spelling. My keyboard moves mad, right? But the mothering aspect comes into play in the relationship. But this comes on two formats, right? Someone said black women always are mothering. You also have to take accountability. The mothering happens because you have now decided to vacate your own position with your need to want to be wanted and desired, and you're willing to play a mother role. So this is not one-sided, it's a two-sided coin. When you become the mother in a relationship, it is not just because the man is a dependent. It is because you also want some aspect of control, and you also are failing to understand that you have needs and desires, and so you're willing to meet it by going out and then getting it, even if that means putting yourself in a position where you're the mother role, not being taken care of, but taking care of someone else. The flip side, Rashid being Rashid being in that position, the reason why he's in that position is because there are key parts of his behavior, and i.e. character, that are destructive or problematic. And what a parent does when they see a child having problematic aspects to their behavior is they try to mitigate those risks by giving rules, regulations, and boundaries, i.e., quote unquote, I know we have different definition of boundaries, to the other person to let them know this is as much as you can play. Okay. All right. This is as much as we can play. And so what happens is the safety of the woman who plays a mother role is in knowing I'm giving him rules to follow. The safety is in her being able to issue demands that he must follow. And if he begins to follow it, what happens? She's in control and she feels safe because she can measure how he's going to behave. It's much more scary when you don't have power over somebody and their actual behavior. Now, the other aspect is, like I said, with the fact that Rashid obviously had those tendencies, why would he allow her to mother him? Well, the reality is because there are wounds that are evident as to why he allows the other person to mother him. The only area that frustrated, the big area that frustrated him in terms of mothering is in the business. That is why he hid the business from her. I can probably, you know what? You probably notice the same thing probably even happened with his first wife. The reason why he's hiding the business and the business moves he's making is because he realizes he's being mothered. And it's the only area that it's the area where he feels like, no, I don't want to lose control and I don't want to give you access to that area. No, I want to do it myself. Just like when a child begins to grow and eat food and it gets to a stage where it's like, I don't want you to feed me anymore. I'm going to feed myself. If you've ever been with a child growing up, because I've raised my siblings, I've seen it. It gets to a point where you're feeding that child doing, that don't work no more. That don't work no more. That child's like, hey, please. You've been doing all my life. I'm grown. Thank you. Let me make my own mess. And that child will literally pick up the spoon and all over the place. But what they're telling you is, I need some aspect of control. I need some aspect of me being able to be me. I need to grow in this place. I need to be able to mature. I need to learn how to handle things in this way. Okay. All right. I need to be able to do what I'm doing. I need to be able to mature in my area. So what was happening is the area that he felt like she was too dominant in or too controlling, self-autonomy that he needed, it was in the area of his business. Okay. All right. It was the area of his business. Right. So in the area of his business, that is the one area where he also feels validated and feels like a man. And he doesn't want her to now begin to encroach on that area too. No. That's where my pride lies. And let me make decisions. If I get it wrong, I get it wrong. But I'm going to make my own decisions. You're not going to. That's the one area you can't touch, Symone. And that is the reason why this is why I'm saying to you that relationship, I cannot throw gloss on it and throw Jesus on it. Okay. All right. So let me just put a title on this. So I need to remind myself, because when I chop these videos up, I need to be able to chop it up well. Right. Okay. Rashid. Okay. Rashid's pride. Okay. As a man is in his provision. Okay. And this is why there would have been issues long term in their relationship. The issues would have been because as Symone feels uncomfortable, unsafe, unconfident, and she feels like she's not able to submit to him. That's what she said. I didn't say it. Okay. Whenever she feels that she cannot submit to him, guess what's going to happen? In the midst of that situation, what she will end up doing is actually trying to usurp the power from him or undercut him to try and save the relationship. Because what she will see is the things you're doing are creating instability in the relationship. So she will end up trying to undercut him, and that will then trigger him because he's going to feel like you're not giving me the space to be a man here, and you're actually imposing yourself on me. And in that aspect, now we're going to be at war. Now we're going to be at war. we're going to be at war. Right. And so he's going to continue. So he might say, oh, I wouldn't have lied anymore, or might not have been deceptive, or might not have deceived any. He would have been deceiving more and more, because if that's your area of pride, that's your blind spot. That's your area. And I'm not even saying in a bad way. As a man, me too. My area of provision is where my pride lies. Let me be honest with you. My area of being able to provide for you and for myself is where my pride lies. If you come and you encroach on that area, we are going to have a problem. For most men, their pride is in their ability to provide financially, not emotionally, but financially. If you keep trying to encroach on that area, and what I mean by that is, it doesn't mean you don't pay no bills. What I mean by this, you try to tell me how I'm supposed to provide. When you try to tell me how I'm supposed to bring the money in, when you try to tell me what my business is, imagine you coming in and telling me, Coach, I want to change your whole YouTube around. You know, you're doing long videos, but guess what? I want you to do it short now. I think you're going to make it better if it's short. I'm going to tell you straight. Mind your business. I've been doing this for a long time. I know what I'm doing. Okay. Do you see how territorial you become over your own position? So in that aspect, it's going to be very hard for you to invade my space, because remember, this is an area I'm treasuring. And here's the thing. He's aware of her mothering aspect, her hovering over him. He's aware of her presence over him. He's very much aware that she likes to fix things. But this is the one area you're not allowed to fix, babe. I need you to chill the frick out. Let me be me. Which inadvertently is going to trigger her. Right? So yes, that's why when he says, I didn't have to let you know about the purchases that I made, because we weren't engaged. Okay. You know what I mean? Okay. So, why is he saying that? Because he's letting her know, you need to know that I'm going to say boundary. I know it's not the right word, but I don't care anymore because I'm not trying to explain it. This is my boundary. This is where me personally, this is where I put the buck stop. That's why he was so harsh with her when he told her, yeah, I didn't have to tell you. Because I have to tell you everything else. You've invaded every other area of my life. You get to put your hand in. This is the one area I'm going to tell you, take your damn hands out the cookie jar. That's why he said it the way he did. Okay. Yeah. All right, cool.
Behind your back, What was that?
So that's not the case. Okay. So I'm in the car business. Everybody knows that. And I had multiple cars. This is me trying to dig out of debt from prior to her, right? Had multiple cars I used to use and rent out and make money. So at a certain point, they were no longer making money. And I had to get one back from a gentleman that I had owner finance from. So then I had my own car, right? So as the financial issues were still waning, because I'm still working for myself at the time, I was negative in one car and I was positive in another. But I had these two cars I'm trying to get down to one. So versus me not having the money to a lump sum of money to cover the negative, I had one with positive equity, right? So I told her,
that the car that you were, the car that you had, or the car
the car that I had,
the car you had was positive. The car, the repo was negative.
Exactly, right? So I told her, babe, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take both these cars and I'm going to trade them in for one and absorb that and not have to come out of pocket. Okay. So I needed a car that would be that would allow me to
get the negative equity.
So she knew I was getting a car to trade two cars in to get to one, right? And she knew I was getting a Porsche. She knew that. She didn't know the cost of it.
Correct.
Right. So
correct.
That's what I'm talking about. She didn't know the overall cost.
So you traded in which two cars to get a Porsche?
I traded in a Tesla and a Cadillac Escalade.
So you were driving which one were you driving?
The Tesla.
And so you took both of those in, got a Porsche that was 126 to absorb the negative equities, so you wouldn't be upside down when you got it.
But here's go ahead.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. Me being a car guy, trying to show off and not have my financial house in order, I have to get.
That's why
that's the issue.
That's why I want to find out. Was it
right? I didn't have to do that. Right? I could have been humbled myself and went and got something half that price.
Give me
right?
an example. You could have got what?
I could have went and got a Honda. I could have went and got a Toyota. I could have went and got a Tahoe.
You could trade in both of those cars and got that.
Because one washed out the other. Let's say one was -10 and the other one was +10.
Okay.
Right? So I did not have to go get a $126,000 Porsche. That's where the infidelity portion where she's talking about the money side of it. She didn't know the cost. And then now the subsequent monthly payment I would have to pay to maintain.
What was the monthly payment on that thing?
It's like $2,000.
Okay. No, it is $2,700 a month, all in. It is $2,200 a month.
The insurance.
It's $2,200 for the note, and the
note is $2,000.
It comes together when you add the insurance. Excuse me. Yes. So that's why I said in my context, if you can't come up with 10,000, we don't have no business being married, because you bought this knowing you had already bought the ring, knowing you were proposing, and he proposed the same month or the following month, and knowing that you wanted to get married within a year. And so every month you sat there and paid that almost $3,000 for a vehicle to make you feel good. Well, you know how I feel today.
Yeah.
Very upset, very frustrated by that, because also I didn't know, like, I don't understand how cars work all the way, but I knew that I was expecting that, yeah, you trade two in. He did say that it would be like equal, but he deceived me in that he acted like it had to be you acted like it had to be an expensive car.
I didn't. I told you it has to be a car with enough markup to absorb
negative equity.
To clarify, he was basically trying to explain why the Porsche made sense, right?
Okay.
And what I'm saying is, today you acknowledge you didn't need that fancy car, but more specifically, I drive a Maserati, and I said, babe, why don't we just drive my car so you figure it out, and then maybe, or even just like get like a base model Beamer or base, like something with like a reasonable $500 payment. He told me, I can't drive your Maserati. It's too small.
I did. I said that.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, reflecting back, I'm like, I probably could have added these up together and realized.
Listen, he was never going to give her he was never going to give her he was never going to get in the Maserati. Okay. All right. He was never going to get the Maserati. Absolutely. And again, that goes back to what I'm saying about Rashid and why it would be a problem. The reality of the situation is that it's about the higher payout. And whenever he feels like he can get the higher payout, he's going to do it. If he feels he can get the higher payout, he's going to do it. And so that's what I'm talking about, the gambler's mindset, that even when it comes to safety, just say, John, let me hedge my bets correctly. Let me get a young 7,000 out of this situation. I could try to go for the 10, but you know what? I need to make a couple of G's quickly and get this money out so we can get the wedding money in. Instead of doing that, he's like, but hold on, I can knock a few more out the park if I just, you know what I mean? Then I can make a bit more. Okay. So I understand. So at a point I was like, okay, fair enough. I understand, that he's trying to, and I think the reality of the situation is, I think for Rashid is, he can't invite Symone into that world because he cannot be seen. And this is any man. This is not a Rashid thing. It's a man thing. He cannot be seen to be incompetent. That's the biggest pain right there. It's not just about the money. It's about being seen as incompetent. It's about being seen as somebody who hasn't got it all together as a man. Because you're supposed to, quote unquote, have all the answers. You're supposed to, quote unquote, know everything, quote unquote, have an answer for, quote unquote, should have a solution for, quote unquote, should have a word for the season, quote unquote, should have the money ready for this situation. Right? So no, I cannot get in your Maserati. Okay? I can't get in your Maserati because it's not my car. It's your car. And you're aiding me again in the area that I know best. No. Okay, no. I can't. All right. So yes, I'm gonna go forward though, because like I said, I'm not trying to do a major breakdown today. We'll do that when we do play-by-play next week. But I just want to,
for him, he's not going to do it for himself.
Okay, fair enough.
And I want him to.
Let me go back. Sorry.
So I said she going to Essence. So just he like, well, we got to do it right before fly in. We can do it. Turn around. I said, all right, whatever. Let's just do it. And that's what happened. And so that's just that just hits a whole lot differently. So when you saw him bare his soul to the world, what did you think? Do you think it was just a ploy to just get attention?
I busted out crying. So I was asleep. So to clarify, previously when he was feeling that way, I said you should capture it, because we were capturing the lead up to our wedding. I said you should just capture it with your own camera, just natural what you're going through. Just talk to the camera. We'll give it to the editors. We'll see if it fits. It may not. Just capture it. And then when we had the conversation about wanting to elope, and he was like, yeah, we want to elope. We concluded that conversation actually with, yeah, that's a great idea. We'll get a private jet. And then, sorry, say your question again.
About when you heard him bare his soul to the world.
What
take away from that?
So at the end of our conversation, I had told him, I said, hey, you should capture your feelings, how you're feeling today after you just told me about the, and we just decided that we're going to postpone it. That we're going to do the elopement capture. He was like, I don't feel like it today, but I'll do it later. So I get a call. At this point, it was like 2 days later, and I had moved out of his house back into my own house, and my phone's blowing up.
What made you move? Let's stop there.
Oh, because I realized I was one of the enablers. And as long as I am doing everything for him, he's not going to do it for himself.
Okay, fair enough.
And I want him to have the confidence of knowing, like, all the stuff that I did, he's capable of doing. I just knew about how to do that first because of my experiences. But
real quick, I'm gonna ask you, when she moved out, how did you feel about that? Do you feel like that was the best decision?
Not at the time, but ultimately, yes.
At the time, what did you feel?
I felt like, because it was very confusing.
Now, this is really important, right? Symone realized, Symone realized that she is an enabler. This is important. Symone realized, okay, she is a part of the problem. Okay. Now, this is why I'm saying that they shouldn't get back together again, which is why I can't throw the Jesus gloss over this video. Okay. Sorry, I don't know why I took off there, but it's the reason why I can't put the Jesus gloss on this video, because if you can tell me, okay, that for you realize you are an enabler, then getting back with him will be enabling, right? The person needs time to be able to stand on their own two legs like a child does, okay, when it first learns how to walk. See, when you let a baby begin to walk, your natural inclination is to, yes, put your arms to hold his hand, but you've got to let that child develop its own strength in its own legs. So there'll be times where the child will try to stand up and it will fall, and you will think to yourself, oh no, but the child is not hurt. That child understands what's happened. They fell, but they're going to get back up again, right? They get back up again and try again. Right. And eventually the child realizes, hold on a minute, I can't stand by myself. I'm going to hold onto the chair or the wall, and I'm going to move. That child needs time to develop its stability, but it needs the environment to be able to play. And what I'm saying here in a situation is, what she is saying is she knows she's an enabler, meaning she's putting the training wheels on the bicycle. And when you go and when you say you're going to give yourself time to be away from the relationship to let him heal, my friends, it is not a short process. It is not a short process, just like it's not a short time when kids go from being babies to now crawling to walking. It can take years. Okay? All right? So in that reality, there's a period of time where there's need of growth. So when I said that I don't want to see her go back to him, it was because I could see, once you told me, especially when you told me you're codependent, you going back, you are holding up his own progress. Stop getting in the way. You are playing a role saying, without me, he can't do it. Stop that right now. Stop saying without me or without me, you can't do X, Y, and Z. Stop doing it, because you're delaying the process. Get the frick out the way. Pack your bags, take your little picky bags, and get out of here, because I need a full space to be able to run ahead and go and get what I need to go and get. Okay? So when you just if they get back into a relationship before the cake is done, guess what happens? You have a flat cake and a cake that is full of what? Goo. And what happens when you eat the goo? Your tummy runs. It turns to doo-doo. That's what's going to happen in a relationship. Some of you don't need to be in that relationship. You are the biggest problem. You are the obstacle that is stopping that person from getting to where they're going to get to. Right? So my thing here is let that man walk. Let him crawl. Let him touch the walls. Let him walk. What did I tell you last time? I said to you guys, let a man fall flat on his face. Let a man fall flat on his face. Right? Let him fall flat on his face. He needs to taste the ground because he needs to know what the bottom feels like and what it tastes like so that he can say, I don't want to be there again. You get what I'm saying to you? He's a motivated person. He'll rise. He won't die. Trust me. Right? But in that time, what's your role, Symone? In the time where he is spending growing, what's your time? Now, she addresses this a little bit later on. She addresses this later on by saying, I don't know how much time I have. Right? I don't know how much time I have. And that's why I said I can't throw the Jesus gloss on this. I cannot throw the Jesus gloss on this because in this instance, I'm not going to make it shiny and paint over it and be like, this picture, when you add Jesus to it, it's going to work. I can't throw that. I cannot throw that. I'm a Christian, so I'm telling you, but I cannot throw that. That's how so many marriages, okay, all right, in our generation have broken up later in the time. Because once people realize they're no longer scared of the church and the shame that comes, which we don't really shame people anymore as much now, but once that shame is eradicated, guess what's left? This is why shame doesn't work, because shame only works for a time period. Shame only works for a period of time when people are scared of you. Once they're not scared of you, they will do what they want to do. So change behavior doesn't come because you shamed it. It comes because you've learned to do better. And therefore you do better because you believe to do better. You believe differently, so you do better. Right? So when we're not going to Jesus gloss this, we're not going to make it shiny with that special paint. When they put that paint and they throw that paint and it glosses the photo all up nice up and ting. We're not going to do that here, because in reality, there are issues that are underneath the surface that need to be addressed. Okay? All right? Okay? All right? So, yeah. Once again, guys, if you are joining us, we have 550 people in this room. I'm sure more will come. Make sure you like the live, please. It helps with the analytics. So if you haven't done so already, like this live. Just take your finger for a second or two. Whoa, that sounds kind of wrong, but take your thumb, take your finger, whatever you want to take. Take your mouse or whatever and press the like button on that thing. Okay, all right. Add some Jesus gloss to the like button. Okay, all right. Like that thing right there. Okay, all right. Yeah. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Okay, all right. Don't play with it. Okay. Okay. So yes, that aspect of things. Okay. Let me just. Yeah.
Like she said, because when I told her, she was like, she started crying.
Happy.
Tears of joy, and said she was so proud of me for finally letting go of trying to hold on to this image or facade.
You talking about after you watch the video?
After yes.
Yeah, when you talk to her.
So to clarify that, let me bring something back real quick. First of all,
let me pass this part. I want to go forward, guys. Sorry.
Jokes.
I was serious. I am spontaneous like that, but I was completely serious. Then what happened is I went to Dallas for work the next day, a quick trip.
To chiropractic college. I said that in my right. And then I decided my dad passed away right at a time at a very young age. So at that point, that's when it's like, man, I jumped out of college and jumped right back into college, and I'm back in school. He passed. He wanted to do all these entrepreneurial things. So then I stopped and I left chiropractic college. Right. Chiropractic college is like medical school bills almost to the point. All right. So
you have no grants or nothing. You just
none of that. No, I just took loans. And now, mind you, I got college with no debt.
Now, maybe she was hot. I don't know, but why did she take off this thing to bring that allegedly top? Now, I know and that's how I know Symone's about her business, because this was a business move. Okay, that you know that was a business move. Okay, we love Symone. Symone, make sure she's gonna get her coins, because that is a business move. Okay, all right, that's a business move right there. My girl said, let me take the top off and show you that I'm working with allegedly, because that is a business move. That's as simple as it was. Okay, I ain't gonna be mad at it. All right, I'm not mad at it. Do your thing, Symone. I just wanted to bring it back to that point to get your coins up. So make sure, I don't know if it's in the I don't know if, let me just see if there's a link for that t-shirt. Hold on, let me just see if there's a link for that t-shirt, guys. There might be, I don't know if there is. No, there's no link for the t-shirt. So I don't know. Maybe it's on her page though. You know what I mean? So maybe she'll use it and review it later on, but there's no link for the t-shirt.
Do that in the 10th hour when she gave me every opportunity to say, Rashid, tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. There's a part I missed here. Hold on. There we go.
She doesn't want to have to as a result of not being able to
mismanagement.
Right. So what
Because
I did was
my part, and my parents did their part.
Embarrassed.
Right.
So I get that. So I'm not trying to discount her feelings and how she feels. That has to be a lot.
Yeah.
Because we this is second time we pushed the wedding back, right? So that's always, I have ultimate confidence in stuff, and that's a gift and a curse. Because I always in the past, I'll figure it out. But half the time I'm just doing this and figuring out just based off my skill set, because I'm a super hard worker and I'm smart and I just figure it out. But this time it just wasn't adding up, and I was moving too much stuff. I was willing to sacrifice something that would gain equity for us down the road for this weekend and this moment in time that is not any
What would gain equity? What is it that would gain equity over time?
like my home gain. So I'm looking at something like, okay, this is something that I'm going into this the wrong way. I'm going into this wedding in debt, and I don't want to do that to her because now we're married in debt, right? But I had to do that in the 10th hour when she.
And let me tell you this, I do believe that he didn't want to go into marriage with debt. I do believe that, you know, he wanted to do differently. You know what I mean? Now, would he have? Now they were gonna elope. So I'm not saying that. I think you can have some cognitive dissonance. I genuinely believe, and I can hold space for that. When we talk about cognitive dissonance, is talking about having two different opinions that you hold in your mind. I definitely believe there's some cognitive dissonance here, which is that I definitely believe that he wanted to not go in that marriage in debt, but I also believe as well he was willing to marry in debt. you get what I'm saying to you, right? You get what I'm saying to you. So I definitely believe that, you know, there was some cognitive dissonance. Okay, I definitely believe there's cognitive dissonance there.
Gave me every opportunity to say, Rashid, tell me.
Yeah,
I got my portion.
You said that she kept saying, she kept giving you a way out.
I got it. You know,
looking dead as but also with the I want to clarify how it came to be that the first wedding got postponed too. So initially, I'd always dreamt of the man planning the wedding, especially because he's good with design, fashion, decor. So he was working with a wedding planner, and something was awry because at this point it's late January, and I have seen not nary receipt. I know he doesn't like Excel spreadsheets and stuff. That's fine. I was a finance major, so I was like, give them to me. Yeah, give it to me. I'll have a nice wedding in our budget. The budget was like something told me. I went downstairs to the room that he was in, and I went over and I got in your face. I said, "Are you sure? Are you sure you're gonna have?"
Perspective. Like we put pressure on ourselves, right?
Unnecessarily.
Society puts pressure on
100%.
Women put pressure on us, right? But at the same time, a man wants those pressures because that's just how we're built. So I don't run from those at all. I still will never run from those. That's just not how I'm built. There's certain things that need adjusting and certain things that I need to understand that you need to ask for help and you need to say, I don't got it.
Facts.
But when you hear someone say, if this such and such, I'll resent you, what am I supposed to do at that point?
Tell me before I resent you.
No. You just said, when I said, okay, when we stopped it, I said, let's elope. You said, no, let me try to do this because if not, I'm going to resent you.
Right.
So when I hear those words on top of the pressure I already have, then I'm like, all right, well, let's go. Because I don't want you to resent me. I don't want to do that. But at the end of the day, when we had this last conversation, I'm like, she's just going to have to resent me.
You said you're going to resent me now, you're going to resent me later.
But also,
it's not going to end well. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to put her through that. I don't want to put myself through that. I'm not doing that again to you, to anybody.
It doesn't change the fact that the only reason
I'm not trying to change any facts. I'm telling you from a man's perspective. You said,
why are you raising your voice?
Because I'm passionate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get
Just
that
like when you said
clarified.
you was gonna kill me. Let's clarify that.
I didn't mean it.
Huh?
I did mean
Well,
it.
I
You said
mean
you
raising
did
my
mean it.
voice right now. Then
Yeah,
I
you
mean
ain't
that.
gonna kill
I'm
nobody.
passionate.
I was talking in the past.
I'm passionate. I'm talking in the present. So I'm
Okay.
passionate about
So we
my
ain't gonna
voice
kill
being
nobody.
raised.
No, I don't want to go to jail.
Exactly. So you don't look good in orange.
Yeah.
So,
Why is it like don't like?
I want to ask a question. Did he raise his voice? No, let's have a real question. Where did he raise his voice? Because I was super confused. I was super confused by that. That she was mentioning that he raised his voice. Like, did he? Because when I listened to it 2 or 3 times, I still can't hear where he raised his voice. Right? Where did he raise his voice? Okay. Where did he raise his voice? And then and then also to the other aspect, also, I don't take kindly to anybody making threats. I don't like that kind of stuff. That for me is a level of toxicity I don't like. This is the second time I should have given you guys a clip of time. I don't know where it is now. It's probably later on or after. Okay, all right. But this is the second threat that she's actually said. I don't know if you noticed. So this, where she said, obviously, you know, about killing him. Then she also, as well, at a time, she was like, I think she said, I'm touching my hands or whatever, because if I don't, I might punch him. And I said, what? You might punch him. And I said, hey, no, this is real. If he was to make any kind of joke like that, this would be considered to be, we wouldn't even waste time. We'd be like, hey, this sounds like it's going to be a DV situation. This sounds like it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be safe. Now, do I believe that she's going to do something mad like that? Probably not. But you're on the money, guys, for the wording. This is the emasculating behavior. This is the emasculating behavior. Do I believe she would have done anything those things? Probably not. But it's part of the emasculation, because try me. Try me. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Right? So for me, purpose, I'm looking at it and going, yeah, no. That is not acceptable at all. And that's scary language. That's very scary language. And so it's making me think, is this what's happening behind the scene? Is he being beaten up? Is he being beaten up behind the camera? And when I say beaten up, I'm not talking physically, I'm talking about emotionally. Because some of the things that I saw with Symone, even though I know she's tired, and I believe so, you know, some of the way that she describes the situation, it's almost as if she's scolding him. And I guess that comes back to that original we said about the parent and the child relationship. That aspect of things, that's a problem. Right? That's a problem. So now, because of that parent-child relationship dynamic where she has the power in some sense, or some control, I'd rather say, right? It becomes emasculating, yes, when you do start to issue threats of, I'll punch you. And the reason why she's joking that way is because generally she's so frustrated she could punch him. Doesn't mean she's going to, but she generally could, which means we're struggling to express ourselves in fullness. If we're willing to, that we're frustrated to a point where we're willing to physically say, even joke about it, right? There's because there is a frustration in your ability to express yourself. Right? Let me just put this here. This is what we talk about in terms of when we talk about emotional regulation, and we talk about how people regulate, how people fail to regulate. That in the area of in the area of expression. Oh yes, I mean, yes, she did say she had anger problems. That's very true, and I think that can then lead to what we're going to say, right? When people struggle to be able to express verbally, anger is usually anger and frustration are the two that usually set in. So that's why there is usually a physical response, because the mouth can't talk what the mind is thinking. So the physical takes over. And this is what I'm saying. I can't throw the what? I can't throw the what? The Jesus gloss on this one. This is why I can't throw the what? The Jesus gloss on this one, because there are glaring things that I cannot ignore, and the habit of saying, Jesus, take the wheel. Nah, Jesus, let the wheel go. Let the wheel go down the road. Let the wheel take off. Let the wheel go somewhere else, because this one, we don't need you to control it. We can see this is not the right time. Okay? All right, let's just listen again. There is nothing that he did in this thing that raised his voice. There was literally none at all in there, right?
Yeah, I don't want to put her through that. I don't want to put myself through that. I'm not doing that again to you, to anybody.
It doesn't change the fact that the only reason
I'm not trying to change any facts. I'm telling you from a man's perspective. You said how
why are
you
you raising your voice?
Because I'm passionate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get
just like when you said
clarified.
you was gonna kill me. Let's clarify that.
I did mean it.
Huh?
I did mean
Well, I
it.
mean raising my voice right now. Then
Yeah,
so I
you
mean
ain't
that.
gonna kill nobody.
I'm passionate.
I'm talking in the past.
I'm passionate. I'm talking in the present. So I'm
Okay.
passionate about my voice being raised.
No, I don't want to go to jail.
Exactly. So you don't look good in orange.
Yeah.
So,
Why is it like don't
What?
you do that when I
Which
raise my
part?
voice? You try to stop the conversation because I raised my. Don't try to throw me off. I raised.
The funny thing is, he accepted that he raised his voice. He didn't raise his voice. So now it makes me think, if that happens in a relationship, how would he be able to say his piece? How would he be able to challenge? How would he be able to correct? How will we be able to say, no, I don't agree with that? Right? First and foremost, he was still talking. And this is a part of what I said about Symone. Love her, but I got to hold her accountable in the areas of when he starts talking. There have been several instances in this interview she overtakes. That's got nothing to do with Rashid and everything to do with her. She's so used to being in that front running position that even though she says, I want a man to lead, her natural inclination is to overtake. And many women are in this space where they say, I'm always mothering a man, I'm always taking the lead. These men ain't. No, you have an inclination to overtake. You've got an overtaking spirit. You've got an overtaking spirit, and you need to stop. But the reason why you're not stopping is because you're so used to being in a position where you can protect yourself. The overtaking is a part of the protection. Okay? But the reality of the situation is, it is emasculating. So even though you say, oh, these boys, these men, they're not men anymore, I'm always doing it, but you have overtaken spirit because you can't handle the pace that he's going at the front. You ever sat in a car before and you're behind somebody and you feel that they're going slowly? The moment you see the road open up, what you do? Right? You put your foot through the pedal, zoom. You pull out wide, and you pull over and overtake. That's the overtaking spirit. You are looking at the person in front of you and saying, I don't like the pace that you're going at. I don't like the pace you're leading this particular drive on the moment. But as soon as you see a little gap in the road and you look out and you say, hey, you see a little gap and you see, okay, there's no car coming. Your foot goes, zoom, boo, and you're going, pew, right past them and you overtake. Overtaking spirit. Right? So that is what happens. Yes, when you can't trust your partner, when you can't trust that person, when you don't trust them to lead, this is an overtaking spirit that will take place. Now, partly that's because of what he's done, but it's also because that is Symone. That is Symone's healing that needs to take place too. Okay? That'll be it.
I don't like
You're not scared.
Okay.
Miss me with that. You're not scared.
So you were saying, what was you about to say just now, Symone?
I think I was going to say, Well, with respect to the process and how you're talking about how with the lead up, yeah, it was how he was right. He said, I'm going to resent you now, or you're going to resent me either way. The underlying issue was the only reason he wanted to elope was because of the finance, which for me is, but if it's that bad where this is our only option, but we're driving $126,000 cars, we got to get our affairs in order.
Right.
And even, he was willing to, thank you. He was willing to sell his house and that was the other issue that we talked about on that day when I was like, oh yeah, I'm proud of you, is because he said, I'm selling the house. What? No, that right. And that was, so when I said I was proud of him, I meant that because that's the kind of logic that I need if you want me to submit to you. Because I ultimately had to step away because I realized I could not submit to his leadership.
So why didn't he sell the car? So wait, was that not the option?
Yeah, so
now Symone's obviously a little drama queen, so she throws herself. Okay, so she kind of explained right there and then the reason why this relationship also is doomed to fail. As she said herself, she cannot submit herself to his leadership because she doesn't believe that she doesn't believe that he does a better job than she could. That's the reality. Okay? The reality is she believes he cannot do a better job than she can. Therefore, why would I let you lead? Okay? All right? So so now we've got a situation where are we going to go? Who going to be leading? We're going to have fights probably in this relationship in terms of when it comes to relationship, when it comes to leadership. Okay? You're probably going to have some issues in that regard. All right? Yeah. Now, and yes, Symone did choose him for a reason. And the reason being is the same reason he chose her. His wounds made it comfortable to be in the arms of the mother dynamic. And her wounds made it comfortable for her to put her arms around the wounded son. That's why they're in this situation. Okay. Yeah. That's why they're in the situation. Okay. Let me, I think it's a little bit later on. Hold on. I think is it so? Oh, I got it right.
Like not now, but like I went downstairs and I'm just like, this is so dumb. Like that is not the reason we're not getting married. But to me, it just represented.
Oh, sorry.
It's a visual of financial decisions that have gotten us to difficulty. And I was like, I can't.
He
said, I'm realizing I'm selling the house to pay for the wedding. What?
I'm not doing it.
No, that right. And that was, so when I said I was proud of him, I meant that because that's the kind of logic that I need if you want me to submit to you. Because I ultimately had to step away because I realized I could not submit to his leadership.
So why didn't he sell the car? So wait, was that not the option?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I'm working on, right? So in a nutshell, first of all, let's talk about the house situation, right?
Hold on, let's get to the car. The car is $30,000 underwater. He can't sell it.
Okay, all right, whatever.
Wow. Did you just see what happened? The question is directed at Rashid. I want people to pay attention here. The question is directed at Rashid. And Rashid wants to answer the question. Rashid begins to answer the question. It takes only 5 seconds before Symone interrupts him. Not only does she interrupt him, she then also throws, it turns out almost like a jab, right? To say, well, he can't sell the car because it's 30K undercover. Well, first and foremost, he was asking Rashid about it. Let's just go back quickly. Let's just go back so you can understand what we're hearing here, right?
$6,000 cars. We got to get our affairs in order.
Right.
And even, he was willing to, thank you. He was willing to sell his house and that was the other issue that we talked about on that day when I was like, oh yeah, I'm proud of you, is because he said, I'm realizing I'm selling the house to pay for the wedding. What?
I'm not doing it.
No, that right. And that was, so when I said I was proud of him, I meant that because that's the kind of logic that I need if you want me to submit to you. Because I ultimately had to step away because I realized I could not submit to his leadership.
So why didn't he sell the car? So wait, was that not the option?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I'm working on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
the question's asking him, why don't you sell the car? He's now explaining why he did it.
In a nutshell, first of all, let's talk about the house situation, right?
Hold on.
So he then says, hold on, let me just explain the house situation. And before he gets the words out of his mouth, she said, hold on.
Let's get to the car. The car is $30,000 underwater. He can't sell it.
Okay. All right.
Do you see the expression on Rashid's first? Let me show you what some people are actually doing in their relationship. I want you to pay attention to this. Pay attention to the facial expression. Okay, because this is what some of y'all are doing, man and women. This is what some of y'all are doing in your relationships. Pay attention. You're about to shut down the communication in your relationship. And you're gonna ask the question: my partner doesn't talk to me, my partner doesn't open up to me, my partner doesn't share things with me. This is why they don't share and open up things to you. I am not giving Rashid an out, but I'm saying pay attention to how his facial expression changes.
The things I'm working on, right? So, in a nutshell, first of all, let's talk about the house situation, right?
Hold on, let's get to the car. The car is $30,000 underwater. He can't sell it. Is the answer.
All right. Well,
So that's the
Head drop.
frustration.
Yeah.
Right?
Gonna come to the car when I was done. So, back to the home. I'm addressing what was first. Back to the home. I listed it for sale, right? To sell it because I felt I had enough equity, one, to cover most of my debt.
Okay.
Right?
So you're selling the house, take that and pay off your stuff.
Because the way I feel, I always get a house. I always blah, 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 blah.
And I don't want to stay on that long. So I don't want to do a whole breakdown. We'll do a whole breakdown next week for you guys. If you're new here, please do massive favor. We've got 617 people in this place. I want you to like the live if you have not done so already. Like the live if you're enjoying the conversation, you're enjoying the breakdown, and enjoying this particular content. We do this regularly. It's always deep. Okay. But make sure you just like the live as well. Okay, make sure you like the live as well. Okay, let's play a little bit more. And you know, add some Jesus gloss to that live, baby. All right, cool. This part here, okay, fantastic. All right, cool. This is another part that was quite interesting, right? So this was yeah, this is another part that was interesting.
Basically, all of the instances I know where he's done this business model, it had not been successful for the vehicles that I'm aware of. And I'm sure that some of them were,
sorry, I've gone too early.
I thought, okay, you're gonna flip the car, maybe. I was like, because surely, like, this isn't something we can afford long term.
And I said,
Rashid, so you're that good that you'll buy a car and actually win on it? You'll flip a car?
Yeah, most times. But sometimes, most times, because I'm in the business, I know how to buy a car right. Most times I can, but sometimes you fail. And this one was a fail.
You would make money off of cars when they depreciate. As soon as you buy it, you found a way to make money off of them.
Yeah,
I beg to differ. I have some clarifications there.
I did it for 3 years. Not working for anybody. 3 years since March 2020.
Then why are we in this predicament? Here, let me give you an example.
He gambled wrong with this with one vehicle.
When you had a Bentley, he had a Bentley. He was leasing. He was.
Symone, baby. You know what it is? It's the way. Do you know what's so funny? I was listening to this before I got to the barbers, and I said to myself, I looked in the mirror as I was about to get my hair cut, and I said to myself, when I broke down who Symone was on Ready to Love, and some of the issues that she had, it hasn't changed. Because this was on Ready to Love, by the way. This behavior that Symone is doing right now was on Ready to Love. If you remember quite clearly, okay, when Symone outed Jay to the ladies about him talking to her, etc., the way she quickly outed him in front of the ladies is the exact same way she's doing here. It's not about what is said. It's often about the way you say what you said. That is the biggest issue. It's not what she said. It is the way she's saying it. And the matter-of-fact way of saying it is what's going to cause an issue to other parties. It's not an issue that she's saying the story, because if she says it in a particular way, that's like, I'm trying to understand you. If we want to talk about tone, this is tone. And this is the way, because when you're now coming in to describe the situation, she said, well, if that's the case, then, we wouldn't be in a situation. We wouldn't be in a situation. I hear you. But what I'm saying to you is, that's not how you deliver it. It's not about the fact that she's what she said is not going to be an issue until the way you say it. Right? It was very blunt, which I'm sure he's not saying anything, but it's cutting.
Basically, basically all of the instances I know where
because his facial expression is telling me now, unless maybe he's a manipulator, maybe he's an actor and a liar, but his facial expressions are telling me that this ain't nice no more. It hasn't been nice for the last hour. Right? Now, just like the Jay situation, she wasn't wrong. Jay was playing around. I love Jay, but he was playing around. Just like the Jay situation, she wasn't wrong. I want to make this very clear to you guys, right? She's not wrong. What she said is not wrong. What you probably said to your partner is not wrong. But in the way you say it, it makes you wrong. In the way you say it, it becomes hurtful. In the way you say it, it becomes undercutting. In the way that you say it, it becomes painful. In the way that you say it, it starts fires. In the way that you say it, it becomes a problem in your relationship. You weren't wrong, though. But the way you delivered it is an issue. Right? You weren't wrong. But the way you said it is an issue. Okay? All right. So I'm saying to you, okay, I'm saying to you in the instance that be very careful how you how you deliver truths. And I keep saying to you guys, truth without love is what? Cruelty. Truth without love is truth without love is cruelty. Okay, so you have to be very careful how we deliver certain points. You know what I mean? You have to be very careful how you deliver certain points to a person. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Yeah.
he's done this business model, it had not been successful for the vehicles that I'm aware of. And I'm sure that some of them were, and it's put a strain on our household. The first year we were dating, he did this with a Bentley. When he turned that Bentley in, he had to pay $35,000 in cash because of overages, because he hadn't done the financials. And then he's got two other vehicles, same thing. He's got two Escalades, upside down. You heard him tell the story of how he had to turn two in for this. So what I'm saying is,
but go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. What I'm saying is, if you're using a business model that is taking substantial sums out of your home, it's time that we do something different. I'm a really smart girl. We can figure it out together. But sometimes I feel like with the confidence issues that he outlined, he wants to succeed on his own. I get it. But I'm tired. Yeah.
But those what she's speaking of was what I talked about when we first started. Those were existing prior to me even knowing her. I was
okay. Yeah. So yeah, Symone gonna have to work on that. Okay. So Symone have to go and work on that. Next part I want to focus on is, and I think I don't want to go too far, so I haven't got all my points anyway, so that's fine. We can get into another time.
I was like, wait a minute. Like, nah, we're not doing this. We're not putting this and projecting this on me. Like, I'm the one that needs, like, nah, I'm not. Hold on. I'm like, nah, we're not doing it. I will go because I believe in counseling, but I think you need to go as well. So you want to be this adamant about me and what you just did in the moment where something was going on?
Yeah.
You need to go as well. And we both need to go because both of us are imperfect vessels. And I think you need to go as well. So until you do, I'm not going back.
I love therapy. I had no problem going to therapy. I would continue to have the same therapist if he didn't go to prison.
Yeah.
It was an insurance issue.
Would you ever go to premarital counseling?
We kind of did.
What was that? Anyone deep that? No, did anyone deep that little comment that he made at the very end? He said they both were obviously not going to therapy. They both need to go to therapy. They talked about obviously going to therapy. He said obviously, yeah, I'll go when you want to go. But then towards the end, did you hear what he just said? And then he kind of like threw a shot at the fact that, but you saying obviously it's an insurance issue. Yeah, that was a shot. Like to say, what do you mean an insurance issue? Like say almost to say like, but you want to say it's an insurance issue. Basically, what he's saying is you actually trying to say that you trying to say that's why his mommy ain't going to the therapy. No, baby, you ain't going to therapy because you ain't going and I ain't going. That's the truth. We ain't going. We ain't going. They both need to go. Okay, they both need to go. right? They both need to go. We both need to go in this place. Like at the end of the day, we need it. Okay? All right, we need it. Okay, so that's let's not play with that anyway. Oh man, you know what I mean? It's out here, the mad in the dunya. Yeah, definitely an issue. Next part I want to focus on because I think I want to get past this. I don't want to go too long.
I was like, you will be in my life as my friend. I know that we can maintain a friendship, but I challenge, like if I was in my 20s, I'd be like, oh yeah, we're gonna be back together. But I don't have the time. I don't have the time that I used to have to give him the time that he needs to work through these things, because it's not going to be quick and it's not going to be easy, because it's multifaceted. Yeah, there are financial things, but then you got to get to the core of the issue. And what I've started to realize is, because the core of his issue relates to self-esteem, it makes it difficult for him to hear unhappy things about you, for me to say some of these truths and for them to be received and processed. And so I feel that a large part of the challenge is we should have done couples counseling and like finished our premarital counseling, where we could have gotten some of this out beforehand. In our last session we did, and I was honest that I felt unsecure. But from the beginning, when I dated him, I felt like all of his problems were fixable. I still think they are fixable.
I know why he's got this disposition. Even with this interview with her in it, it's one-sided. This whole interview, I deeped it. This whole interview, it has both of them in, but it's very one-sided. Very one-sided. Like Symone is very confident on the issues he has, right? But it's not vocalizing where her issues lie. And that is making this one side. Because I'm thinking to myself, why do I feel like this? And I said, no, because I'm listening to both of them, but I'm only hearing one person with all the issues in the world. Now, don't get it twisted. That one issue is why they're not married. But in reality of the situation, would they stay married? That's the difference. Because I'm thinking long term. I'm not just thinking about getting married. I'm thinking about long term, what's going to trip you up. So are we discussing the issues that Symone has within that relationship? Because first and foremost, y'all both went in therapy because you needed it. And we know that Symone didn't think she had issues because she told him and said, you know, this is not about me, it's about you. So whilst I believe, don't get it twisted, whilst I believe that he has some work to do, this is a dual interview. This is not an interview that she did with me. Right? This is not something that she did with me. This is not an interview she did with me. It is a dual interview. And yet the focus is solely on him without really expressing where you falter. Now, I'm not saying that she hasn't said one or two things. I'm saying that, and you kind of heard it a little bit earlier on when he tried to bring up the point that, you know, both of us are an issue. You know, so that's a, you know, an area of contention too, you know, as well. So that's just interesting to me. I
just don't know what his time frame is going to look like.
This is interesting. You said that it's hard for him to receive information. I noticed in this conversation there was challenging moments, but one thing I have to say that he made himself available, knowing that he's going to be under fire. Most men ain't. I
don't know that he knew he was under fire.
Oh yes, he did.
Maybe by you, but not by me. I've always covered for him. This is the first time where I'm like, hell no, not today. Sorry. No, I'm not going to say sorry. I'm not going to say sorry because I'm not sorry.
Well, he knew it because he saw you do other interviews.
Oh,
He saw you do other stuff where you spoke about it, and he just had to take it without having to say anything in response to it. And so, yeah, he knows that if he sits on this couch, he ain't gonna be able to just shuck and jive with me. But also, he knows that it's the whole conversation is about finances. I didn't ask you how much money you made. I didn't ask you what you bring to the table. I don't know what you do. All I know is you lived with him and he took care of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I didn't ask you one question about Symone, what you do? What your dad look like? What you so I didn't ask you none of that. It's just all about him. And so but he sat here and allowed himself not only to be judged by, well, I don't judge nobody, but to be under fire by us, but also he knows what this is gonna do in front of all these folks. And so that's the reason why sometimes we don't realize the growth for this man who has lived a life, 40 plus years of faking, to then say, I ain't finna fake no more. And you talking about this ain't nothing but a few weeks after he exposed himself to the world.
Yeah.
When I say from an expedited a level of
it's funny you actually mentioned that so Bele. I think someone else also mentioned it in the chat. She actually acknowledges this, Symone, where she starts talking and she makes a point that, you know what, he's in the room. You know, I don't want to talk like you're not in the room. And she mentions that in the actual video. And I don't know if I have the thing for it as well, but she actually mentions that little part as well. So yeah, you know, that is a real thing that's happening, you know, that's a real thing there that's happening. Last little part of the video, and then we're going to bounce because I want to keep it at a good time as well. You know, now she does admit partly she's a problem. Let's listen to this part.
Because
I wrote a letter.
you wrote a letter
To the guest, the letter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I mean,
and so that's all y'all was gonna do is do that, and that's it. It
And
felt like you was
like
gonna be some woman that posted and aired them out or something.
No, because the thing is, I wasn't deceived the whole relationship.
Right.
I signed up for this. I just did not know the context, the full context of what I was signing up for. So I carry responsibility in this too. I let it go for this long. I was not asking very specific questions. Like in that last week, I asked him, how much money do you actually make? Like that probably could have been asked a lot earlier when I'm trying to figure out why, you know, but also it was very important to me that I take the stand that I took and remove myself, because with him, the issue is not earning money. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, you say you know how to make money. So that's why I said y'all both together could do some great stuff. So it's this, from a money standpoint, y'all be taken care of. He's a hustler. He knows how to make money. You being an attorney can bring the structure into it and make it a legitimate business that can, and what a woman does into a man's life anyway, as she comes and multiplied. The other part that's been addressed is the emotional part, his self-esteem that he's saying, which is a work in progress. But he went over the biggest hurdle by saying, I don't care what nobody say. I'm going to go ahead and just share it. When you start off at ground zero, that is I'm telling you, most people won't start from that place. They'll just start trying to fix it, but they haven't fixed it publicly like that.
And that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, that's what you've been doing this whole time. So for you to just say, I'm going to just start off at ground zero. Everybody, y'all going to know this. I went and shared it on my Dear Future Wifey community tab. I said, no, this man is operating in vulnerability. You know how you know, I'm 10 toes down on vulnerability and transparency. So I put that on there. I said, y'all go show my boy some love. Go show it. Because the other thing that happens, what makes a lot of people fearful of being vulnerable like that, is because of the judgment. You're already exposed. Wounds wide open. And other people come, they just start putting salt in it. They start stabbing you some more. They're like, I can't believe you was wrong. You this. You like, but he gonna do this for himself, and hopefully you fall back in love with him. And
I haven't unloved him.
I know, but you talking marriage level, because like you said, he can be my friend. You ain't gonna be friends on it, my boy. So I mean, he'll be my friend. We're gonna be friends forever.
If I was Oprah, we would be getting married. Okay, you would be Stedman. We just wouldn't have any joint bank accounts. Baby, we would be getting married if I was Oprah.
Well, really, you would.
Exactly. That's probably why they're not married.
Well,
he probably does the same financial things.
Now, let me just tell you this for sure. Let me tell you this. This is my last point, guys. Okay, let me just say this now. You know, when I said to you there should be no contact between you and your ex when you break up, this is what I mean. Okay, it's my final words. Okay, before we'll break it down a little bit later on or whatever. Maybe I'll do another video if it comes out, right? But this is why I said the no contact rule is important, okay, in a breakup. Because most of you cannot cope with contact with the ex. Why? Because the door is still open. We're at a point in the conversation, it's almost 2 hours in when I play that little clip, and she's here saying, but baby, you know what I mean? Right? So at that point, you know, I can see that they're talking almost as if they're going to get back together again, or they are together again. Just listen to his last final point. And by the way, he also said as well that he feels like he's He can at any time be a ranch player or whatever, and the contract can be renegotiated and they can come back together again. So, you know,
Friends on my boy. So he told me he'd be my friend. We could be friends forever. People
I don't need no new
If
friends.
I was Oprah, we would be getting married. Okay, you would be Stedman. We just wouldn't have any joint bank accounts, baby. We would be getting married if I was Oprah.
Well, they're
really,
not
you
married.
would.
Exactly. That's probably why they're not married.
Well, you just
He probably does the same financial things you used to do.
She said,
I'm just saying, if I had millions of dollars, we wouldn't be love him that much.
really. So you tell me, have millions, you will see. I'm marrying this. We ain't joint. We ain't sharing the council, but I will marry him.
Will I marry him or will he be my boyfriend for life?
See, that's what I'm.
No, I probably would. I would.
You just
Yeah, I
signed a
would probably
prenup.
marry him. Oh, for sure.
Look at his face. No, guys, look at his face, bro. This is not listen. Look at his face. This is not giving excitement, bro. This is not giving excitement at all. Look at his face.
Into that.
You said I'm signing a prenup, and I'm.
And we just went.
I
Yeah.
got things to lose too. Like, let's not get it too. Like,
No,
that's
we-
why-
we-
no.
this-
That's the conversation I had with her. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm down with it.
But you talking about
The
this
prenup.
make believe and the
Oh
make
no,
believe
no.
world. Yeah.
But we talked about a prenup.
If
like,
you got $1 million, you still said you would marry him right now.
I would.
That's
Because,
it. That's
yes,
it. I want to end on
I
that.
would.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That says that finances, you just said something that's very important, that you want security. Even if he's not providing the security financially, he provides a security with you from an emotional standpoint that you would undergird the financial security that you need. But you just said if you have
Correct.
millions, you'll marry him based upon everything else he brings to the table.
correct. Because I could attain the financial
Yeah.
security. And I knowing the kind of man that he is and how supportive he is, I just have to tell him my idea and he would bring it to fruition.
And this is where I get off the train. Okay, this is where I get off the train. I'm like, at this point, I'm not trying to indulge in them and be like, you know what, it can work in a relationship. I don't want it to work at this point. I need you to go your separate ways.
Trust, but also I really
And been married and have gone through a divorce, I can look at this and say, this is beautiful. I say it's beautiful because I'm telling you, to deal with it early on is the most amazing thing that you got to deal with. It's so amazing. It's like, I'm like, you guys, and I'll say this, thank you, Holy Spirit. Y'all have the privilege of dealing with it now.
Listen, I love Latirius, but we're not going to Jesus gloss it. Yeah, Latirius knows I love him and I appreciate him, but we're not going to Jesus gloss it. Okay, we are not going to Jesus gloss it. Okay, this is what I mean by Jesus glossing. Yeah, when we start saying that the Holy Ghost, thank you for this moment, but listen, they're dealing with it not to get back. Like, we shouldn't be giving people false hope. Now, listen, if they get back together again and it works, fantastic. I hope they prove me wrong. This is one of those moments where I'm saying, I hope you prove me wrong if you go ahead and do what you're doing. Here's my honest advice. Get your asses in the wilderness. If we're talking real, I need you to get to the wilderness because you're dealing with things that if you get married are going to be exasperated. We're not married yet and we're dealing with deceit, we're dealing with omission, we're dealing with relationship aspect where, you know, things are not great. They are actually they're actually amounting up against the relationship. I need you to be in the wilderness. If we want to talk about Jesus, let's put these two in the wilderness separately. They need to go for their own wilderness, come out empowered, and then if they decide to choose each other, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't, it's also not a loss because you've actually grown. But what I don't want to be advocating for, me personally, what I don't want to be advocating for in this moment is that both of you do it at the same time together in a relationship. I think people fear being separate and have to work on themselves. So they stay in a relationship to try and make it work. But you're further just actually delaying the growth that you need. Yeah. So I'm saying for me personally, from my perspective, I can't add the Jesus gloss because I'm looking at it and going, this doesn't give me one of those moments. This isn't where, you know, we lost a child, no offense to that. This isn't, you know, my mother passed away or my mother's been sick or you've been sick and I've been looking after you. Okay. Or, you know, one of those things. This is where there's been a level of some deceit. There are patterns of behavior that haven't changed. that need to be changed. There is a build a bear boo mentality. There's control in some aspect which is passively done. This needs to be sorted out. So no, there can't be Jesus gloss on them in this relationship. That's what I mean by Jesus gloss. Adding the Jesus narrative to it. You know what I mean?
You have
No
the
offense.
privilege of dealing with it now. If I'm telling you, y'all can look through my DMs and talk to some of these people I know that are married. When I tell you, it is bad.
Yeah.
I've talked to people that's been married 15 years, 16 years, and they done dealt with this and way more. You talked about him feeling like a gambler in his decision. I've talked to people in my DMs that are literally dating gamblers who he got a house to go to. They done gamble the house away. They done gambled everything. I'm talking about have nothing, have literally nothing. I've talked to when I used to do a lot of stuff.
Now, Latiris, I love you. I do. I love Latiris, but I'm gonna say this. If you got people in your DMs that are telling you that they are at a point where they're dating an actual gambler, if I can see that you got gambling tendencies, why would I allow you to go forward? You're going to become that very person. Do you see what I'm saying to you? No, I love Latiris, and I'm not against him. I'm saying, but if you can see that you have people who are already in that position, then you can actually see how they got there. They didn't just transport there one day. It's because they ignored the red flags. So unfortunately, this is where me and Latiris disagree, because I don't want to add that. This is what I'm saying about I don't want to add that Jesus gloss to make this look nice. I want to rip off the Band-Aid. Okay? I want to rip off the Band-Aid and be like, no. Before you become a gambler, okay? Before you become a gambler, I want to let you know that here at this point, no. Before you get to that place, no. Now, you know, I appreciate the fact that, yes, it is being highlighted. It is coming up early. It's before they get married. They can work on it. But it's not we can work on it. You've got to go and work. I've got to go and work. They need to be separate. Trying to bring them together at the same time, there's too many wounds. Look, they had an opportunity together to do some counseling, and they ditched it. Together, they're good in some aspects, but when it comes to the health of them, they're not. Because when it came to even getting some pre-counseling, they had the opportunity to work together, and they both failed it. Not just one, not, oh, you know what, I was trying to say, let's go, and you didn't want to go. It was, no, I'm not going, you're not going. Okay, we quit it then. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're good together, personally. That's my personal opinion. And I can be wrong. You know what I mean? I can be wrong. So I'm not saying that my word is true. I'm not saying my word is gospel.
With the homeless, I would talk to homeless people like, yeah, man, I gambled my whole family. Like this one dude I met that lived in Vegas and was on the streets here in Dallas. He said he gambled everything that his family owned. His wife left him. She had nothing else. She had to go move in with her family. I'm talking about gambling everything away.
Yeah.
So it's some stuff that people deal with. And what I'm so happy about is not only is he dealing with it early, but then what y'all are able to build. If y'all steward this season well. Thank you, Holy Spirit. If you steward this season well that y'all are in right now, I mean, total submit to it and go, God, what are you trying to tell me to do in this moment? All right, cool. I'm humbled. I've humbled myself. I'm putting accountability financially like he's doing. I'm gonna get a therapist to work with me on the emotional stuff so I don't deal with childhood trauma all the way until I turn 50. I'm gonna kill this. I'm gonna kill this Goliath right now in my life. And then whatever issues you're dealing with, you say, I'm gonna kill all this right now. Whatever it is, I'm gonna deal with this thing. Now, when I say I do, he's saying I do to a version that he didn't even ask to marry. See, who you become when on the day that he marries you.
Now, this is where I'm going to disagree again with Latiris. I'm going to disagree with him again because the way he's issuing, and again, he might disagree with me too, because I was very direct and told them, y'all don't need to be together. So he may disagree with me too, and it's fair. He has his perspective. I have my own perspective. I think from my perspective, when I hear that, it sounds like if you steward this season well, I don't need you to steward the season well. I need you to separate. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah? Because when you start saying steward the season well, it sounds like you're in your mind, you're already thinking we're going to be together. And that is the biggest issue. We need you to depart from that thinking. That should come down the line. What we need you to think about is, first and foremost, what do I need to work on to heal? Rather than talking about stewarding. Because stewarding means we're still trying to keep the relationship intact. Okay, now I'm not cussing him out for anything. I'm not trying to go in on Lateris. I like Lateris. Me and him get on. We talk even behind the scenes. So don't worry about it. I'll even message him after to say, bro, there's a part of the thing where I talked about your part where I disagreed with you. So, but my thing is in this instance is he's talking as if they should steward the relationship together. And maybe I'm naive because I'm not married and have never been married. Maybe I'm thinking in this particular single season and single mindset, and that's why. Okay, but because I see two individuals who are now 40 plus, they're not children anymore. They're 40 plus. We know, no man know of the hour, no man know of the time. They're 40 plus, and also with that, you know, I just think to myself that saying steward the season well, it almost gives them hope that, you know what, we get back together again. And I think to myself, do they need that hope? Do they really need that hope?
Is going to be a different person than it was when he said, will you marry me? That process, and the same thing with him. When he got down on his knee and proposed to you, you get a chance to marry a different version from the person that you said that you would marry. But the new version is going to be 10 times better than the person that got down on his knee. That's what y'all have set before y'all right now. That's the beauty of it all right now. And so that's why I say it's not such a bad thing that y'all going through this. This is the grace of God allowing y'all to deal with it. Start from a clean slate. He ain't got nothing, he withholding nothing. You know who he is. He like, this is what I am. The world knows who I am. But then watch how the world watches him glow up. Watch how the world watches you.
Now, here's my thing. I hope that that's how it goes. Hear me out. I hope that is how it goes. Me coming from a realist mindset and taking God. I'm not taking God out of the situation. I want to apply what I believe to be my own wisdom that I believe God has given me. Okay, all right. My own wisdom that God has given me to say that marriages that last long don't necessarily mean that you're successful. The success I want to see for you is that you're thriving in your marriage. So you're not staying at it because you want to be in it, because you feel like you've got no other choice, but because you actually are thriving in it. And what that means is there are some core issues that have to be addressed so that they don't come back later on. Because I heard that in relationships and marriages that are long lasting, you have the same argument over and over again. Majority of people have the same argument over and over again, right? But if you're having an argument about something that is destructive, that argument is the same thing that you started a relationship with that was tearing you apart is the same thing that's going to destroy you later on. The same thing that you ignore with the same thing that will actually catch your attention at the very end. So what I'm saying is, I don't want to put the Jesus gloss on this relationship to be like, you know what, Jesus, you know, sees how great this could be. I'd rather just have the mindset of saying, Jesus does see how great this could be, but he also sees that y'all need to be alone. Oh. Sorry, my internet popped off, guys. My internet popped off. Hold on. My internet's moving mad. Okay. So guys, my internet just popped up. Oh, not my internet, my laptop went off. I really need to go sort out my laptop, guys. I think that's the biggest issue I'm having right now is laptop. But yes, as I was saying, so my final thoughts on this is to say we don't need a Jesus gloss, right? I think we need to be realistic and say to ourselves, actually, we need time alone. We need to go and spend time in the wilderness. I need to grow. I need to be healed. And if we at the end see ourselves as being together, then fantastic, we can come back together. But I want to focus on me. And that taken away from that situation, take away from that relationship. Let me just focus on being a better me. Having that hope of being in a relationship with you is also distracting. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna leave you guys. I'm gonna leave it there because you know what, the internet's telling me I gotta go. You know what I mean? I gotta leave it alone. So I'm gonna leave it alone and get out of here. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. Still locked and loaded. Leave a like before you go. Leave a comment down below in the comment section too. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll be back here, I guess, next week, Monday, and I'll do a full breakdown on this because I can't do it right now because I'll be away for the weekend. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate you guys. Still locked and loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon.